Hey guys, what's up? Spectre here, and I've been pouring through the new Cyberpunk footage we got out of the Night City Wire obsessively, and picking out some details we may have missed at first blush. I'll be discussing weapons, in-game environments, game mechanics, and more. I even think I'm gonna spoil some of the early quests, but don't worry, I'll warn you beforehand and I'll save it for last. Let's jump in. Now, because the main focus of the first Night City Wire was Braindance, I won't be discussing that aspect of it here. I do have an in-depth look at Braindance, which you can check out by clicking in the top right now or at the end of the video. Something we saw a lot of this time around are cars. Each one was different in its own way, and perhaps was meant to show us the variety of customization options and even vehicle model options in the game. I even noticed the redesigned HUD. Each vehicle seems to have its own readout and gauges that you can see diegetically on the dash in first person, but pull out to third person and you'll get a HUD in the lower left, which is an addition since the last time we saw driving in Night City. The auto summon mechanic, where you can call your car to you, may also be confirmed in the HUD here. Speaking of cars, we also got an in-game reference to a car that we saw in the promotional posters, the Erendite. We also got another glimpse of that quest where we meet Dexter in his sleek ride in order to receive a quest from him. We don't actually know if this is the same moment, as the time of day doesn't match up, but with all the gameplay in this livestream being early in-game, it's possible. Another familiar face is the Ripper Doc, but I wanted to point out that his workspace looks even better this time around, which usually isn't the case. Our first look was at a slice of an early build, making it easier for them to add higher res textures. But to see such detail in a later version of the game is reassuring, as this is usually why people whine about supposed downgrades, when it's really just devs prioritizing world size versus detail due to system constraints. But this environment is looking as beautiful as ever, despite the game world now being full of more assets and being further along in development. We also see that dialogue will seemingly come along with physical prompts, so you know what your character will be doing when you make a selection, allowing players to make better branching decisions. We can see another example of this here. Sweet rides and familiar faces aren't the only things we saw in the stream. We also got a few glimpses at combat. We got some up-close and personal time with an assault rifle that seems to be called the Genesis, which apparently the Night City PD towed as well. It's also worth noting that the combat HUD has gotten a facelift, with consumables making an appearance and other elements moving around. It seems that aside from health, we can consume pills, which may enhance combat the way this did in the first gameplay trailer. While much of the violence in Cyberpunk 2077 will take place on the streets, some of the most devious things in the city happen behind corpo walls, which we got more of a glimpse at this time. One of the interior locales we see is Konopeki Plaza. It's apparently a building for Arasaka managers who have to visit the city and for whatever reason have no apartment in the city itself. And apparently it's smack dab in the city center. The building boasts a staff of nearly 100, including armed guards. But this brings us to the point in our video where we may be spoiling the opening quests of the game, as I noticed 3 distinct quest names throughout the livestream: the Nomad, the Street Kid, and the Corpo. These quests appear multiple times and are spread out throughout the livestream, but what if we strung them back together, taking note of some of the quest steps? Again, this may be spoiling the opening of the game, so if you don't want to go in with any immediate knowledge, feel free to leave now, I guess. Thanks for watching, liking, and subscribing. But for those of you who would like to see more, stick around, and let's start with the Corpo opening quest. A common thread amongst all the openings appears to be looking in a mirror, which will undoubtedly be where character creation takes place. The quest string that may be meant for those who choose the Corpo background is called the Corpo Rat, and from the bit with V puking, I fear that you may be the rat, but not much else is given away except for some objectives. Apparently you're flown in pure style to Lizzie's bar, the home of the Mox gang, in order to meet up with Jackie, perhaps to trade a few secrets. There also seems to be different frequencies that your implant can be tuned to, as we see that V seems to be on some sort of Corpo channel with live financial info on the screen. The most fleshed out within the livestream seems to be the Nomad. You start out in a mirror just the same, this time in a garage. It seems that by stitching together some of the footage, you could eventually be tasked with smuggling contraband into the city. However, it seems that you're caught on the way in with the stolen goods, prompting you to fight back against your attackers as you bust into the city, guns blazing. The street kid life path seems to be riddled with police interference and brutality, as you and Jackie are apprehended and detained by police, perhaps striking a deal with them for your freedom, turning you loose on a vast city. The cause for your original arrest may be a bar fight, as some journalists have stated that the street kid story starts in a dingy bar as V nurses a broken nose. But I'd like to reiterate that this is conjecture, although I don't think I could be too far off. And those are just some of the details that you may have missed upon our new look at Cyberpunk. What are your thoughts about the game so far? How are those hype levels? Let me know below, and make sure to sub for more Cyberpunk coverage. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.